Hello. Gotham Corner Store? Yes, we seem to be down to our last Diet Coke. A gentleman is on his way to pick some up. Just look for a black car. No, this black car will be rather difficult to miss. And by the way, the gentleman is usually in quite a rush.
Just for the taste of it, Diet Coke.
Hold it right there. Let's see if you're really ready to watch this movie. Okay, popcorn? Check. Soft drink? Check. Warner Brothers ball cap? Aha! You can't watch a Warner Brothers movie without a Warner Brothers ball cap.
Listen, Doc, what if they ordered a Warner Brothers ball cap so they had it next time?
Well,
Here's all you have to do, folks. Just send for this.
A new Warner Brothers catalog.
Use it to order your Warner Brothers ball cap. And while you're at it, you can order stuff like T-shirts, posters, movie books, ties. That's neckties.
It's all in the catalog, which you can get now by dialing this 900 number.
So when you get a chance, call...
No, they have to call now. They can't watch the movie until they order their new catalog.
you're despicable.
Don't forget to call, folks.
Welcome to the Real Comic Heroes Podcast. Your adventure into the world of comic book movies starts here.
Greetings, citizens, and welcome to another adventure of the Real Comic Hero.
Take two.
Yep. Greetings, citizens, and welcome to another adventure of the Real Comic Heroes Podcast. My name is Travis,
And I'm Patrick.
and it is a glorious day.
Is it?
It better be, Patrick, if you know it's good for you.
All right, easy. That's psycho. Yeah, this is going to be a rough one, folks. Hang on. It's basically the movie that gave birth to Travis on the line here.
Pretty much. My first love.
First love. Good Lord, it's going to be rough. Oh, man. That's right, folks. It's what we've all dreaded. It's finally come. Night at the Roxbury starring Will Ferrell.
Let's talk about it.
All right. I just picked the most random movie I could think of.
Right.
It's Tim Burton's Batman, 1989.
30 years old as of about a month ago, as of this recording. So
Yes. It's also known as Prince's music video.
pretty much, yeah.
But yeah, 30 years.
Yeah. It's a big one.
It is a big one. I will give it that. It is the reason that we are in the state of affairs that we find ourselves today. Where nobody goes to a movie unless it's a Marvel movie. Sorry, DC, you kind of dropped it after this.
Oh, well, yeah, to some degree. This is definitely the peak DC.
Yeah. This is the top.
I mean, even just as far as like, I don't know, I don't have the numbers for, some of their newer movies, Wonder Woman and Justice League and stuff like that. But like this one, budget was what, 35 million, it says estimated, and they made, and even in their opening weekend, they made 40 million.
Well, they spent like 15 million on the matte paintings, so
Yeah. But
this thing had to make a fortune.
Yeah. Even like just in marketing just licensing stuff. I mean, that bat symbol was everywhere.
Yeah.
I guess that'll kind of jump right into what our history is with this movie. But
yeah,
like I know that worldwide it was like crazy Batman hysteria, Batmania, all that stuff. But I was too young to be aware of all that. I definitely, like, this is the first movie that I remember getting excited for. I'm certain that I didn't see it in theater. but I was certainly excited, just seeing the trailer on TV. And I think my first memory of it is just getting it on VHS, and then that was, how I saw it, and just, basically didn't stop watching it for years. I mean, it was one I would watch, every chance I got.
Yeah.
Down to like just watching it now, on DVD or streaming or however, it seems weird that it doesn't start with the Warner Brothers animated. It's a Bugs Bunny commercial at the start of the movie, advertising the Warner Brothers store where you can buy, posters and scripts for the movies and stuff like that. So not seeing that, and watching this, it feels weird. And then there's a Diet Coke commercial featuring Alfred and clips from the movie. So it's not having that stuff it feels weird to, because it was such a part of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember. What's your history with Batman?
This one, I remember being confused by, because I was used to Adam West.
Yeah.
Because that was my childhood Batman, I guess. Like, not that 8 years old isn't still childhood, but, previous to this. So I know I wanted to go see it, but my parents wouldn't let me.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming they thought it was going to be the edgy Batman or something. Because
Sure.
it looks so much, different
Darker.
than Adam West's Batman. But I do remember seeing it on, VHS. Like I think we rented it.
Yeah.
Once my dad or mom got the go ahead or something. But I remember having to leave the room when the boardroom scene was going on.
Yeah.
And, I guess it's a bit harsh. It's a bit Indiana Jones level of harshness, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
I'd put it right there with, skeletons and stuff.
Right. And
sort of
faces melting.
rotting in reverse. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I remember that and all the toys and, probably similar to what you had.
Yeah.
As far as history with the movie itself. I remember Jack Nicholson's face freaking me out. Just, in real life and in the movie. But yeah, I mean,
that grin, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get into it later, but yeah. Oh, man. So bad. But, yeah, I mean, I knew it was a huge movie even as a kid because it was the first, movie in school that everyone had seen and talked about for, a decent amount of time.
Sure.
So, I mean, it was pretty gigantic.
All right, on. Yeah, this was definitely one that I pretty much wore out the VHS just from watching it over the years so many times. And then, I guess probably in my 20s, definitely trailed off of watching it as often. And then by the time the Nolan movies came out, this one kind of got, put on the back burner. And I'll admit that I kind of abandoned this movie, but coming back to it now, it's definitely, I'll get into it later, but it's come back around for me. So I did manage to see this, I guess the last time I would have watched it before, watching it for preparing for the recording would have been at the Artcraft. It's a local old theater that plays, older movies on a decent sized movie screen, and they had a Tim Burton Film Festival maybe 2 years ago. So
Okay.
I went to see this, and then we saw maybe the next night or night before we saw Mars Attacks, which was kind of fun to see on the big screen too. But
Wow. Yeah, that's been a while.
Thanks for the tip, Dwayne.
Christ. Knox.
Hello, Lieutenant Eckhart. I hear we just had us another bat attack. That's what, 8 sightings now in just under a month? I hear the commissioner's even opened a file. True?
Sorry, Knox. These two slipped on a banana peel.
I'm telling you, man. A giant bat.
Don't be writing this stuff in the newspaper, Knox. It'll ruin your already useless reputation.
Lieutenant, every punk in this town is scared stiff. You know what they say? They say he can't be killed. They say he drinks blood. They say...
I say you're full of shit, Knox. Oh, you can quote me on that.
Lieutenant, is there a 6-foot bat in Gotham City? And if so, is he on the police payroll? And if so, what's he pulling down after taxes?
I guess we should jump into it. And we didn't even talk about the act breaks, but I think they're pretty clear cut.
Guess we'll find out.
Yeah. I actually have some notes specifically about the act breaks and why I feel like they happen when they do.
Okay.
Because I guess mostly because of the first act. And I guess I'll just mention it now that watching it this time and really paying attention, it's a Batman movie, but I think the main character is the Joker.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and it's easy to understand, like, Jack Nicholson is the main star of the movie, but you wouldn't expect his character necessarily to be the main character. But I actually, in watching it this time, I really do believe that it's basically a Joker movie. You know, it's his origin. You're following him for most of the movie. It's kind of the rise and fall of the Joker. And I think Act 1 kind of feels like it should end when he falls into the acid pit or whatever, the vat. But I actually think it's a few scenes later when he shoots Grissom, takes off his hat, steps into the light, and says he's the Joker. Actually, you could probably go just a few minutes later when he is talking to himself and says, wait till they get a load of me. I think that could be the end of Act 1, because I think it's just based on, following your typical movie format. Act 1 usually ends when the hero makes a decision, decides to go on the journey. And I kind of think it's when the Joker decides he's going to take over Gotham. Because Batman certainly doesn't, make a decision and go down a path of anything really in this movie, especially not in the first act. I mean, he doesn't choose to drop Joker into the vat, and it's not like he's just kind of there for a few minutes and then he's gone. Like Batman's a presence in the movie, but it's really not about him discovering anything.
Yeah, that was.
He will discover something, but that's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was one of my main notes at the end. I was like, I know nothing about Batman and everything about the Joker.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I've heard other people say, in the past that this is basically a Joker movie, and I've never really given it that much weight, but definitely felt that way here.
Yeah, I think it was just obvious now because nowadays you get so many origin story start-offs.
Yeah.
That this one, I mean, you get a little bit, but it's like in the midst of the movie and it's real quick.
Sure.
It's you get tricked at the beginning of this movie.
Yeah.
That thing, but yeah, it was just interesting that they didn't do the stereotypical, this is how Batman was born.
Well, I like that they kind of tease at that at the start of the movie with the family that's trying to catch the cab, and then it looks like it looks like a setup for these are the Waynes, and that's Bruce Wayne, and the parents get killed, and but then they make it pretty clear. I think early on they say the name of the kid is like Jimmy or Timmy, and then the wife calls him Harold, so makes it pretty obvious that this isn't the Wayne murders. But I almost wish that they would leave it a little bit more open until you see Batman. Like if you're gonna hint at it, then just go ahead and drop out the names so that you keep that quote unquote surprise until a few minutes later. But
I know.
I think it still works.
Yeah, I didn't even notice any of that when I first saw this movie. Like, I didn't know
Okay.
Bruce Wayne's parents or even Bruce Wayne really that much. Like,
Okay.
I wasn't really. I think I was caught up in it, and I didn't even notice they called him Jimmy.
Sure.
So, like, it totally worked on me.
Okay.
That's for sure. So,
I think
yeah.
Jess, I've I've watched this movie so many times that it's the stuff that I notice now, or like is the minute stuff. It's because it's almost a movie that I could watch and quote line by line.
Yeah,
which is also kind
of
of something interesting with how this movie has changed over the years, and like I sort of mean that literally. Like there were things watching it as a kid, especially lines of dialogue that I did not understand. Even lines that I misheard or couldn't tell what they said, and so I would just fill in the blanks best I could and try to make sense of it. But like things like later on when Joker says this town needs an enema, I didn't know what meant, and so I thought he had a weird pronunciation of enemy, and so I thought, oh, okay, he's saying that Gotham needs an enemy, and he's going to be that enemy. So that makes sense, sure. Another one is when he's when Joker's talking to the burnout corpse and says one of the lines is "grease 'em now." As in like, you think I should kill him now? Okay. Well, as a kid, I thought he said Grissom now because Jack Palance's character is Grissom. Like, so I thought I didn't know what Grissom now meant, but that's what I thought the line was for years. So it's like, over the years, this movie started to make more sense to me, and I started to understand, other themes and things like that were going on. So yeah, it's one of those that it's quite literally grown up with me, I guess.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Enema. That is probably one of my favorite lines.
Yeah.
So we're going to say that Act 1 then ends after when he shoots Grissom, or I had when he falls into the juice.
Sure.
But yeah, we do either or. That's fine.
I mean, yeah, I'm good either way. I think the between second and third act is a much clearer ending.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think my notes between Act 1 and 2 are clear enough that I can go either way with where we want to say that ending is. But
gotcha. So
yeah. Go ahead.
Oh no, you
go. I was gonna jump ahead to the chemical plant sequence.
Oh, okay.
We don't have to. I mean, I guess that is
the
towards the end, so
yeah.
maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't jump there yet, but
okay.
I was only gonna say that because it's like there's some great setup before that. You get a lot of good scenes again with Jack. I guess it's weird to call him Jack because the character and the actor both named Jack. But I do like the scenes with him in before he turns and when he's meeting with Grissom, and it's funny because watching it now, it's like Jack Palance seems like he's in a Dick Tracy movie because he's like hamming it up a lot. He's like the typical gangster. And then, we see the other Jack as Jack Napier, Jack Nicholson. And I like that he's still wearing like a purple suit, but it's not crazy Joker level purple suit. It's just still fits in within the gangster, yet he's still kind of stands out, which is nice.
Yeah, I think that was the weird part of this movie. It seemed to go in a couple different directions at the same time. Like, there'd be serious parts, then there'd be Adam West Batman parts. Like there were literally shots in this movie that I thought I was watching the TV show for a second.
I kind of had some similar thoughts.
Specifically at the museum.
Okay, yeah.
Struck me as like it may have been the camera angle.
Yeah,
and
the
how people
the
were
Dutch
falling
angles.
down and from the gas and everything. And then I mean, we'll get to that later. But throughout the movie, I saw pieces of the Adam West Batman throughout.
Yeah,
Weirdly, and I think that's kind of what you're getting at with this Dick Tracy performance from Palance as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's a good example in Act One where Napier is paying off what's his face with the
Eckhart
with the money in between bread slices.
Yeah, I missed that
I'm
detail
like,
as a
"What?"
kid. Yeah, that
As a kid, I thought it was really a sandwich.
right. Well,
I knew there was
as
bread there. I didn't realize there was money in there, so I thought he was just giving him a sandwich.
See, I was completely the reverse of that because I could tell that he was flipping through the stack of cash, like he was fanning out the bills. But I missed the bread for years. I was probably 13 or 14 when I finally like noticed that the money was just between bread, which I thought was even more clever because he says, here, have a snack, and it's actually it's I guess like a few different layers because it's a snack, so he gives him a sandwich. It's money between two slices of bread, and bread is a nickname for money. So
it's so cheesy though.
Yeah.
It's definitely like an Adam West Batman kind of move, like the criminal like doing something so stupid. It's like you're in a dark alley. Do you really need to put bread on the money?
Yeah. So did he go to Bob and say, "Can you go get me a couple slices of bread?"
Yeah, because I didn't realize it wasn't a sandwich until he does fan through it.
Yeah.
But like everything up to that point, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess this guy likes sandwiches, and like they know each other. So, like, I took Joker at face value, or sorry, Jack at face value. But yeah, there's all weird things like that throughout the movie that just I don't want to say take me out, but make me feel like I'm watching a different movie all of a sudden. Like, I don't know. It does it a couple times.
Sure. It's definitely interesting because, at the time, and I can't speak for the reaction at the time this came out, but what I assume the reaction would have been that this is such a dark and gritty take on Batman, compared to the Adam West series. And, now looking at it, especially, I think I talked about this at the end of our previous episode, how we were talking about this, but especially now in a post Nolan series of films, this one is kind of in the middle there. It has wacky moments and it has some campy feeling moments that I don't think were as noticeable, I guess 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So yeah, it is interesting to be able to see those moments now and realize that there are some light-hearted and silly moments in this movie that
But I think it's just a it's just a Burton movie.
Yeah.
And Tim Burton falls into that very thing where it's like it's kind of weird, kind of funny, kind of dark, but it's not too much of anything.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because it is a Burton movie, but you can tell that Tim Burton is showing some restraint here, because by the time, and we'll talk about it in a while, like by the time you get to Batman Returns, that's a Burton movie. That is a Burton movie that happens to have Batman in it, whereas this is definitely a Batman movie with some Burton style. But I think by the time he, with as successful as this one was, I'm guessing that Warner Brothers just said, do whatever you want with the sequel. And he certainly does, as far as the tone and the stylization of everything. Like that really becomes a wacky, gothic nightmare type
I
setting.
Felt that in this one. Like the sets of Gotham, the weird architecture. I mean, obviously Elfman's his own thing, but that's sort of hand in hand with Burton.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, like the dreary, grayish blue looking city, even the weird like twisty smokestacks all over the place. Like
Yeah.
just the bizarre like architecture just screamed Tim Burton to me.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree, and I know what you're
Not
talking
to the
about. I just
yeah, I see what you're saying, but I mean, it felt like a Burton movie to me still.
yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like any other Batman movie that
Sure.
I've seen outside of Batman Returns.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I could see it. It's just that's what Burton is to me. He's like a family friendly kind of scary.
Yeah.
I guess. Like it's really jacked up at some points, but it's not to the point where you're like, oh, good lord, somebody's scarred for life.
Yeah, he's never done like out and out horror.
Yeah.
But yeah, he likes to hint at that sort of thing, I guess.
Yeah. So it's just a unique, like having now seen a bunch of Burton movies, I could see it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before I had no freaking clue.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if he had directed any movies. I'm going to look it up now. Because Beetlejuice wasn't before this, was it? I guess it was. It was 88. Okay.
Okay.
I was wondering what he had done prior to this, but I didn't realize that Beetlejuice came before. I guess that makes sense. But
let's see here.
Several short movies, and then Pee-wee's Big Adventure was 85.
Oh yeah,
I guess that makes sense. I for some reason, I guess I would have put that after this stuff, but I guess that I can see that. So. Anyways, the whole like mystery around introducing Bruce Wayne is kind of annoying to me.
Yeah, it's highly suspicious that
yeah
nobody knows what that dude looks like.
Yeah, that part has always weirded me out. Like,
especially the reporter.
Right. If anyone should kind of know what the guy looks like, it should be the media, because
I'll give Vicky a pass. She was out, in the deserts, and she's a fashion person and grave person. So
yeah, and it at some point he says, are you gonna be staying in Gotham a while? And so I get the sense that she's not from there. She's just there, short term or something. So, yeah, it makes sense that she wouldn't maybe know what he looks like, but it's weird because he should have been, at the, dinner or benefit that you see Harvey Bullock talking about taking down Carl Grissom, and then you see Commissioner Gordon at the table, and you see an empty seat with a nameplate for Bruce Wayne, and of course he's not there because he's out fighting crime. So they, I would think, would know what he looks like, and then so he must be somewhat of a public person. The movie just rides this weird line of like, is he super private and has he been away for a long time and he's just recently come back to Gotham and that's why no one really knows much about him, or is he
the movie in general? You don't know anything about Batman.
and that's I guess goes to part of what I was saying about this not being a movie about Batman, because you don't aside from the flashback that we'll get towards the late part of the movie, you don't learn anything about Bruce Wayne or even Batman. He's just kind of is what he is, and the rest of the movie happens around him, and he just pops in occasionally. So
it's
kind of interesting.
It's a weird reveal. Like it comes across super cheesy now.
Yeah,
can't remember how it came across then.
Talking about the flashback stuff?
No, the reveal that he's actually Bruce Wayne.
Okay, yeah.
Because, I mean, other than Alfred cleaning up all behind him as he walks throughout the party, there's no real indication other than if you knew Michael Keaton, then you're probably guessing he's Batman.
Right.
But, I don't know. It's kind of like a womp-womp.
Yeah,
like,
as
hi,
far
I'm
as
Bruce. Oh, no shit. Okay.
Right. Yeah. I especially like Knox's reaction, to finding out that this is Bruce Wayne. just because I actually like Knox quite a bit in this movie.
Yeah, I do too.
I know some people feel like he's annoying or one of the worst parts, I guess, but
really,
yeah, I've heard that people find him very annoying, but I do like him.
Good reporter character.
Yeah,
I liked him from Bull Durham, so I'm biased.
Oh, okay.
That's surprising. I didn't know people didn't like that character.
Yeah.
So how'd you like his creepy mirror with the I don't know, 3 cameras pointing in one direction?
Right. Yeah.
And it's weird seeing tube TVs in the Batcave.
Yeah. And most of them are just showing the same image.
Yeah, I just was like, is this Radio Shack? What?
Right.
Yeah, they all are showing the same image. But impressive microphone work.
Oh, yeah.
To hear across the room and zoom in on that conversation with the commish.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that we see the start of that conversation between Gordon and, I guess he calls him Robert. So you see the first couple lines, and then it cuts away to, Vicky and Knox are indicating that, like, hey, something's going on over there. And then it cuts back to Gordon, and they're wrapping up the conversation and getting out of there. And so I like that when we go into the Batcave and you pull up that conversation, I like that there is some missing few lines of dialogue that we didn't hear initially. So I think, in similar situations in other productions, I can see or I can think of example or, not specifics, but I can imagine, hearing the same thing regardless of the fact that we know that the camera cut away, to get Vicky and Knox. So I like that this movie takes that into account, that we missed a part of that little middle, and we're getting it now. So I just a small little thing that I really actually like.
Yeah. Do we know why? It sounds like the commissioner, Gordon, knows that Eckert is a piece of shit, basically, and is on the take. Do we know why he doesn't do anything about that?
I think it's Gotham is such a shithole, or it's so corrupt that it's probably hard to get. I mean,
like, he seems to be friends with Dent, who's the attorney.
Yeah.
So you think he'd be like, hey, there's this guy that has a lot of bread in his car for various reasons, and everyone knows he's basically on the take. So I don't know, that was a weird dynamic. I wasn't anticipating that being so blatantly well known.
Right.
And making no sense to me, since it doesn't seem like the commissioner's useless, other than showing up to a warehouse in a tuxedo.
Yeah.
With no preparation whatsoever, but whatever.
Well, yeah, but he's got men with him.
Yeah, okay.
He's
random men.
Yeah, I think Gordon just knows that there are probably several cops who are on the take, and that's probably just, that's Gotham, Like, you might have some good cops who are honest, and then the rest of them are just going to be in the pocket of various crime heads of crime, and that's just kind of a reality that you have to deal with. And
I meant to look that up. Is the cop that tips him off about the chemical plant the same cop that gets thanked by Knox for the tip?
Actually, no.
No? Okay.
And the only reason I know that specifically is I've been going slowly through Bat Minute, the Movies by Minutes podcast, for Batman. And they specifically talked about, like, actually that's about where I'm at in the movie, is kind of in this party at Wayne, this whole party that Gordon has to leave. And they do talk about, they specifically, Knox, when he thanks him earlier, he calls him Dwight, like, thanks Dwight.
Okay.
Thanks for the tip, Dwight, something like that. And then, obviously, here in the party, Gordon is calling this guy Robert. So, unless it's Robert Dwight, or something like that, maybe. But I
Oh,
think it is. I
yeah.
think they even pointed out that it is actually two different cops. But
Okay. So I feel
So
like I don't get to see the first cop as much.
Sure.
So I'm just like, wait, was it the same guy?
Right.
Because you only get to really see like a couple of cops throughout the movie.
Yeah.
The rest are just cannon fodder.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, yeah, I meant to go back and double check who that was. I just would have thought it would have been funny that his go-to guy is just a little less corrupt.
Yeah. I mean,
He's like, he'll tip off the media, but he's not going to work for whatchamacallit.
Sure, crime boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I can never remember Jack Palace's character's name.
Oh, Grissom.
Grissom. God. Oh, I think I know why. I'm confusing Grissom with the commissioner because Grissom is the character in whatchamacallit, CSI.
Oh, yeah.
And it is the CSI head. So
Okay.
I keep thinking that Grissom's a cop. Just a little insight into how my brain doesn't work properly.
Sure.
Oh, that's annoying. Okay.
Nice.
So yeah, we're gonna get back into some ooze.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you think about this chemical plant? You think it's up to OSHA standards?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
You know, random steam and drips everywhere.
Just big vats that are like leaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing could go wrong.
No, I love this chemical plant sequence. I think it is a really great action set piece.
Yeah. You can go.
I think it's designed to be a little claustrophobic, and at certain points, once everyone starts to scatter and once the gunfire starts happening, like everyone is just going all different sorts of directions, and again we're basically just following Jack Napier through this plant as he's trying to evade cops, and then Batman shows up and has a great entrance, of course. This is the we didn't even talk about seeing Batman for the first time with those cop crooks earlier.
Well, it's
but
not a Batman movie, so screw it.
That's true. So some guy in black shows up, and then the Joker gets away. No, but I like how many, like, this sequence manages to have a lot thrown at you, but I don't think you ever get confused as to what's going on. I think it's, I think the intention is to make it seem frenetic and crazy, but we never lose sight of like what's happening here.
Yeah, the only confusing part to me was does Napier even know what he's doing when he's pulling all the levers and like crap flying everywhere? Is he just like doing crap to get away somehow?
Yeah, I think it's just create chaos. You know.
I will say that as far as Batman goes, the way he's shot, it feels like a Broadway play.
Okay.
Because of like his cape.
Oh, sure.
Like sometimes it looks like it's wires, like, the way it acts.
Mm-hmm.
Like normally when you fly up or somewhere, it billows one direction, but this, it just stays, expanded out, and it feels very theatrical.
Okay.
Like presenting almost. But funny thing I noticed in this watching, at least, was when he's after Napier, he gives me a vibe like almost like Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers, just methodical walking. I mean, I know part of that's just because of the suit and it's, got to be difficult to walk in, but he's just deliberate and slow paced and just walking like throughout this whole like quote unquote chase scene of Napier.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just was weird. It's like he just shows up randomly. You don't know how he got there, but he got there. So it just felt like a slasher kind of vibe, which kind of works. I mean, you don't know what he is.
Right. And maybe that works, to the film's benefit. Maybe it's kind of the shark in Jaws, you don't see it, but that presence is there. And maybe that's why it works so well. And maybe that is why he's not in this movie that much. Maybe that is intentional.
Yeah, he is kind of the slasher if
Yeah.
the villains had a slasher after them.
Right.
It's just funny that it's probably a result of the suit, but it also tends to work, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
But I just thought it was weird that I just now noticed that.
Yeah, I like that. As far as the dropping Joker in or dropping Napier into this vat, I wish there was a better reason for dropping him, because I think what the film is telling us is he just slips out of Batman's hand. I don't think Batman intentionally drops him.
Yeah.
At the same time, I don't understand why Batman couldn't hold on to him. Napier wasn't trying to let go. Like, he wasn't trying to get dropped. So it's not like he was wriggling around and fighting to, for control or anything.
That was the classic sweaty hand in a glove.
I suppose.
I've seen that before in other movies, but
yeah. This is it'll kind of be a note later on, but it's also a note for here. We're gonna get a what moment in Vicky's apartment between these two, and I kind of wish part of that was here. I wish there was a look on Jack's face that Batman recognized and had a moment of like, "Are you?"
Oh, I gotcha.
And something that maybe gets revealed later, but I wish there was a reason that Batman, again, not intentionally drops him, but just has a moment of like, wait a second, are you the guy? And then he just gets distracted because of that, and maybe that's what causes him to slip out of his hand. So I don't know, because I just feel like just dropping him here just doesn't really work.
Yeah, because I kind of figured he might have done some research on who killed his parents at this point.
Well, yeah.
I mean, he's able to figure out a combination of hairspray and lipstick for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
And other beauty products.
Mm-hmm.
But he can't figure out who would possibly... There's got to be a lineup of suspects, and he's got to have that face ingrained in his memory.
Possibly, yeah. I guess he does have a name, because in his flashback he hears Jack.
Yeah.
But
I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's got a very unique face. I mean, it's not a boring face by any means.
Yeah. But also, it's like, how would you go about finding, I guess, mugshots from 30 years prior of people who are in and out of crime? Maybe that would turn up a result. I don't know.
I guess that depends on the era. It's unclear as to when this takes place.
Right, yeah. Yeah, the flashback is like set in the 20s, and then the present day is set in the, 40s, 80s.
Yeah, it's very confusing. If I remember correct. Sorry.
I kind of like that about Burton's Gotham specifically, is that it's old 80s, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I want to say I was doing like random YouTube dives on this Batman, and I want to say there's a paper that has Truman on the headline. So I don't know if that means anything at all, or if that was just random prop guy putting that on there. But it wouldn't surprise me either. Because it does have that weird, you don't know what time it is.
I mean, I do think that this is set in modern day. I think it is supposed to be contemporary 1989, but maybe it's in a world where some things didn't, you know, because like they're playing Prince music at that benefit party thing,
Prince is timeless. How dare you?
Yeah, there you go.
No way is it strictly the 80s.
Right. And their Joker plays, Prince, in the museum stuff. So it's like they're using like that stuff is very of the time. So I guess that could be like, could set it, a hard date, or not a hard date, but a hard,
Yeah, I mean, you got the camcorders, the TVs with rewind.
Yeah.
So it's got like 80s technology in it.
Mm-hmm. But they're
And
still using a lot of older style wardrobe,
yeah,
cars in some cases.
noticed a lot of like station wagons
Huh.
in this one for some reason. Specifically when they're on the steps of City Hall, I guess.
Oh, weird.
I just noticed like a lot of station wagons. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it must be family day. But yeah, I don't think it's necessary to know what time you're in, really. Anyway.
No.
But yeah, I think the gangsters make it feel like it's the 20s.
Just
because they're
for sure,
like you said, kind of playing up that see kind of
Yeah,
vibe
yeah.
with the head gangsters, I guess, which we get into later.
Yeah.
But,
there's what's that?
There's the scene after he falls in the ooze that is the one scene I remember vividly.
Okay.
And that's the hand coming out of the
Come on.
ooze with the green nails and the white skin.
Sure.
I just remember being like, what the? I was like, what am I looking at?
Yeah.
And-
the scene that always affected me more was the surgery scene.
See, that's what I would have thought, but you don't see anything.
Well, and that's yeah, I think that's really interesting because I remember it as the surgery scene.
Yeah.
But it's really just it's a post. I think it's because you see that tray full of just horrific looking instruments that are just jagged and bloody and probably rusty. And
Dirty.
he even says like, "Look what I have to work with." And I love what's going on there with him, ripping off these bandages, and it's your mind that fills in the blanks, and it makes it more horrific. So.
Yeah, and I call BS on that surgeon.
Okay.
If he's a back alley like crime surgeon, he's gonna have some nice stuff. Those guys are gonna spend money with him to, not have rusty tools be the operating tool of need.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime you see like a crime syndicate back alley surgeon thing, they usually have the best of the best because there's, free cash flowing.
Right.
And it's kind of also weird that he advertises surgery in the alley, but
I was thinking about that, yeah. It's one of those surgery offices you go into that not connected to a hospital or
it's just weird seeing surgery on a sign.
Yeah.
It's just weird seeing that spelled out like that. But yeah, I mean, come on. They got to have better tools than that.
Right. Unless this is the guy that people like Bob the Goon, he would go to get a bullet removed.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have the money to go to, someone that would be working on Grissom,
And maybe that's what we could say is that he couldn't trust going to their normal guy because Grissom just tried to.
There you go. I think that's a good.
We'll go there.
Good reason. Yeah. There's stuff going on here with Vicky and Bruce. They're doing a little date scene when all this. I guess after he falls in, and the only thing I really like about that sequence is the brief little bit we get with Alfred when they move locations and they have a bit of dinner with Alfred, and he's talking about Bruce's past. That part I really love. The rest of the date is kind of just.
I forgot about it. And I totally
yeah.
forgot she got drunk and then he takes advantage of her.
Right.
Like, I did not remember any of that.
And that's, again, it's like, even the few scenes that we actually get, like, here's a Bruce Wayne scene that, quite frankly, it's not great. There's nothing, because it's setting up a relationship that I don't necessarily, like, they have good chemistry. And I get that by the end of the movie that there are feelings here, but they try to make it like this date is when they fall in love and that kind of thing. And I think that's just a product of, well, it's a comic book movie, so we need a love story too. So
I just didn't like Bruce Wayne in this movie.
Okay.
He just seemed dazed and like kind of boring.
Okay.
He's just always daydreaming, kind of. Like, I never got that charismatic billionaire playboy vibe from him.
Yeah.
He always was seeming like dark and mysterious, even as Bruce Wayne.
Sure.
So like,
I think
I
that's
just didn't
kinda
care
how-
about him. Like,
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
care less about Bruce Wayne in this movie. But so, what did you think about his sleeping habits when she awoke?
See, that never bothered me. I always see.
That
I
horribly
always
bothered me.
okay. See, I always thought that this was more of a exercise routine, not a I'm sleeping like a bat. And then so I never understood why that moment of him hanging upside down got a lot of like people joking about it or laughing at it.
But he's not doing anything. He's just like he's just
Well,
hanging
but
there.
I just thought it was like, she's seeing him mid, because that is a thing, like in exercising, like, so I just always assumed it was an exercise thing that maybe he had finished or was mid workout. I don't know.
It's like
That never stood out to me as like this is weird and that's how he
I don't
sleeps.
think it did to me either, but this watching, I'm like, okay, he's not really working out. It's like probably 3 a.m. He's been drinking. Like, he wakes up kind of hungover.
Yeah.
And it's just like weird. Like, why do you have to tell us that it's Batman? We already know that he's Batman. And it's just going to make her confused, which, I don't know. It was just a weird, like, there was no reason for it.
Yeah.
We didn't need it as the audience, and she gets a free, hey, this might be Batman kind of moment.
Yeah.
We know she's an awful, like, investigator. She can take pictures, but here's a little help. I don't know. It was just weird. I didn't enjoy that at all this time.
Sure.
As a kid, I was probably like, that's funny. But now I'm just like, could have done without that.
For me, it's there and gone quickly enough that I don't even like think about it,
And that's the thing. Why put it in there?
Yeah.
If you didn't like,
because I do think they want you to think, oh, he sleeps like a bat.
Oh, that's so weird.
Yeah. I don't have any notes on the "you can call me Joker" when he's killing Grissom. So if you do, go for it.
I enjoyed his fun with it.
Yeah.
He's like turning, shooting behind his back, and like, you get it lets you know that he's insane a little bit, and he's just doing what he wants. He's almost like a child, like playing with a gun, like sort of doing trick shots and stuff.
Sure.
So I just thought that was kind of fun to watch, actually.
Right.
But that's about all I had.
Cool.
And I did write down, this is a movie with 2 of the creepiest guys named Jack ever.
Yeah.
Palance and Nicholson are both just monsters.
Sure.
Your pals, they're not bad people. Maybe we ought to give them a couple of days to think it over. No? Grease them now. Okay. You are a vicious bastard. Retaliate. I'm glad you're dead. I'm glad you're dead.
All right. So Act 2.
Yeah. This my first note here is about the next scene we get with Joker when it's the boardroom scene.
My favorite.
Okay. That it goes back to what you were saying about feeling like 66 Batman era stuff. And I think if you take out the violence, especially obviously the Joy Buzzer roasting the guy, like this feels like Cesar Romero's Joker in a colorful gangster sort of scene that I could see fitting in with that era. And but it still works. It's a lot of fun. It is interesting just how wacky this movie can be, but the violence is there. Like it is a very violent movie in those scenes, but it works because it's all being done while someone's just cackling,
Yeah, it's a bizarre scene for sure.
Yeah.
And it makes a swift turn at the end.
Mm-hmm. I always love the premature wiping off of the makeup.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and always feeling like that's really weird. What must these guys be thinking of? Like, here's a guy who already looks weird as hell, and he starts wiping his forehead, and there's now white all of a sudden.
Yeah. I was always partial to him tightening the tie on the skeleton.
Oh, yes.
I always thought that was a nice little touch.
Yeah. That is a great moment.
He pulls off talking to the burnt out skeleton very well.
Yeah, I love when he's walking behind his back and he's like mocking him. Like the surprised reaction. just straight up mocking this corpse. Yeah,
I don't know. It was just a good ham scene for Nicholson.
Yeah.
To kind of show how unhinged he's become.
Sure.
It's like the switch was toggling before, and now it's just fully switched over.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's definitely got. I mean, even the joy buzzer being the source of the death sequence is very Batman. Adam West.
Yeah. I like I call it the appointment in Crime Alley scene. The whole Bruce Wayne visiting his parents. You know, I guess not grave, but visiting the spot where they were killed. Yeah. I call it Appointment in Crime Alley because that's the title of an episode of Batman the Animated Series that kind of dealt with the same thing. Like, and I don't know if this is the anniversary of that occasion or if it's just, well, I'm going into town today, so I, anytime I do that, I always stop by and drop roses where my parents died. But in the animated series, it was an episode about, Batman always visiting the spot on the same night. It is an anniversary, and basically does the same thing, drops 2 roses here, and that episode specifically is like he's got to stop a bunch of other crime, throughout the city, so he keeps getting delayed, and I think it's one of the lesser loved episodes, but I actually really love that episode. So that stands out to this moment in the movie here, stands out really well for me. I really like the little beat that you get, and so that is kind of one spot where the movie, it feels like, oh, here's Bruce Wayne, when he is being himself, and when he doesn't think anyone is watching him, like he's truly being himself, and so I guess that is a little bit of character.
Yeah, I think it gives Vicky something to research.
Sure.
But it is hard to believe that Vicky could sneak up on Batman.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like this, for me now watching this, it is hard to reconcile that this isn't the Batman who can't be snuck up on and who wouldn't ever let anyone die. Like this is a Batman where the first time we see him, he is way up high on a building watching that couple get, mugged and not doing anything about it until well after the fact. This is a movie where, he will kill people. So like this Batman isn't it to me, he's Batman, but he's not like the version of Batman that I think I have in my head. The one that, basically, like I said, can't be ambushed, will never let someone die, even if it's a criminal. Just basically superhero Batman, and basically that's the animated series Batman. I feel like that is the best version of Batman, in terms of like how the character is portrayed, I guess.
It is a weird. I mean, he's almost like a guy pretending to be Batman. He's like, okay, I'm gonna hang out here.
Yeah.
Watch these guys do that, and then I'll get them.
Right.
But I'm only going after guys that mug people. I'm not going to get the guys that are shooting up banks and killing people.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird that he's just patrolling alleys for random people that fall into circumstances like he did when he was a kid.
Well,
Or
that's
something.
like the one of the pillars of Batman is that he puts on the suit to make sure that no one ever has to go through what he went through. You know, that's one of the, like, you know, like I said, that's a pillar of Batman to me. It's preventing anyone from ever having to lose their parents, you know. And we see that the first example of that, you know, while I do think it's meant to be parallel the Wayne murders, the first thing we see Batman do is, you know, he punishes the crooks, but he's not preventing the crime, which I think is, to me, Batman should be preventing the crime, not punishing the guilty, you know.
And he sort of just leaves the one guy to tell his story.
Yeah, that, to me, that's fine. It's like he's trying to build up the whole, like, criminals are a superstitious and cowardly lot. That's like one of the byline, I guess, of the original Batman comic. So yeah, he does want to promote his brand, you know.
So weird.
Yeah, but
so mimes are creepy.
Mimes are creepy. Yeah.
So Joker just hangs out with anyone with white face paint.
It's funny because I feel like it is one of those weird, like, did he just take all of Grissom's, you know, because I don't know where he gets this crew of people, but, you know, Bruce does later say that the Joker has taken over Grissom's gang. But of course, you know, the people he kills on the City Hall steps are not, those aren't the guys in his gang. So he's of course killing off the heads of the various, like, families, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see, the mimes, I think, are like the goons that Joker has later in the movie, I think, are these mimes, like, you know.
Oh, really?
Some of them. Yeah, because one of them has had a distinct, like, face and just body shape, and I noticed that guy just in the regular Joker goon outfit later on. I think it's the same guy.
That's Purple Jacket Posse?
Yeah. So I don't know if he found goons who were also good at miming, or did we miss something where it's like Joker has to, you know, coach them in the ways of mime beforehand.
There's a training montage.
Right.
It's like, trap yourself in that box.
Right. Pull this
There's
rope.
A wind. Yeah. And it's like, hey, he's a clown. He's not a mime. How does he know how to mime?
Yeah.
Jeez. Although I guess he's more of a court jester.
Yeah.
Than a clown.
I think it all kind of, I don't know.
Because he's playing with the Joker card that's really a jester in the scheme of things.
Is it all kind of the same thing, though?
A jester is, I mean, kind of a clown, I guess. Like a royal clown.
Yeah, I think it's like a predecessor to clowns. I don't know.
Yeah. But, anyway, should have been called the jester. That's all I'm saying.
There's something I noticed here for the first time. After the whole courtroom, or I keep calling it courthouse steps, but I think it's because in this set, this building that all these gangsters are coming out of, I think is the same building that serves as City Hall, like that we see the mayor and Gordon and Dent at beforehand. And I think that just comes down to, like, well, we just need them on steps. So I don't know why these guys would be coming out of City Hall, but regardless.
They were filing paperwork to take over Grissom's
oh, right. Yeah, that whole thing, like that whole setup was something I did not get as a kid. Like, didn't understand that, you know, in the wake of Grissom being dead, like, these guys were taking over, but Joker's telling them that he's taking over. So it's, you know, kind of always was a zone out type moment. Just wait for the Joker to do something funny kind of sequence. But
kill a man with a pen, you know, a feather pen at that.
Yeah, there's something
sorry.
What I was eventually leading to is something I noticed for the first time when we catch up with Bob is bringing Joker photos, you know, of this whole event. And we start on, like, a coffee table, and it's obviously covered with all these photos that Joker has been cutting out, and there's like a Time magazine, I think, with some dead bodies or something. It's not Vicky's work later that we see, but something similar. But then there's paperwork and files on that. It says like DDID CIA, like actual government, like CIA, and it says nerve gas on it that I'd never noticed before, which tells me that, with that combined with the, like, it's that paper or that file surrounded by all these corpses that have these grins. And I never put it together that Joker was, as him being, skilled in chemistry, like he's putting together that the CIA has some kind of nerve gas that will kill people and leave this rictus grin on their face. And if I use that combined with, this ACE chemicals or Axis chemicals, in the production of all this cosmetic, chemicals and stuff, I can kill people, so it never dawned on me that this was all like a grand scheme, I always just took at face value that Joker was tainting products and by using the Axis chemicals, but I never put it together that he was kind of planning how far back he had been, I guess, planning it and thinking about it and using something that I guess in this movie, I guess the government had been using on people before. Like that was a nice revelation to me.
Yeah, that makes me feel a lot better about it because I always thought it was a stretch that he had an aptitude for chemistry, but likely never graduated high school.
Oh.
And could pull off all this stuff.
Yeah.
So if he's copying work already done, then that makes me feel a little better about the.
Oh, did they say he never graduated?
It doesn't seem like it. It seems like he went straight into.
Sure.
Petty theft and robbery and all that.
Yeah, because it does say aptitudes towards not
graduated
really with a bachelor's of chemistry. Yeah, okay.
And I'm guessing he didn't go to college.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
He's just, it said science, chemistry, and art.
Yeah.
Jesus. I was like, okay, we'll go to the art museum shortly.
Right. So we're going to have big sequences in a chemical plant, art museum, and...
Well, science, chemistry, same thing.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, so that does make me feel a bit better that he was copying off of work that's already been done.
Yeah.
It's just, he still had to do some serious work, but...
I love a Joker. I love a Joker plot or plan that involves leaving smiles on his victims. Like anytime that shows up in the comics or like in the animated series, I love that sort of thing. Or the, I still want someone to do the Joker fish story, like use that in a movie. But but here getting that here, I really like.
I love his commercial.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Love that Joker.
Yeah.
Those ruby lips.
Yeah. Again, that is a very Adam West Batman-esque scene, just twisted.
Yeah.
It's just slightly twisted 25 degrees to make it creepy.
Right. I love the
that's what
setup.
Burton does well.
Yeah. The setup to that when it starts out with just the news broadcast and having the us seeing what they're seeing in the booth or whatever, where you see both anchors after she delivers her line and it cuts over to the guy delivering the news, then we see her and she's like for a second adjusting her collar like she's getting flustered or something, and then he delivers the line about one of the models being dead and she just loses her shit. Becky, this is hardly the time.
She's like, I'm sorry. It's come over me. And she just keels right over laughing.
And something that, it took a while for me to notice, I think when I was younger, that every time you see these news anchors after this point, and everyone is aware that the beauty products are dangerous, when you see these anchors and then the replacement other news anchor, like they just look like shit. Like they look tired. The guy ends up having like zits and stuff on his nose and face because everyone's
crazy.
afraid to use soap and any kind of chemical. So that was definitely lost on me as a kid, but I did eventually like noticing that kind of thing.
See, I noticed it, like you said, a little bit later, but I also noticed that nobody else looks as horrible as these two people.
Yeah, they
like
definitely
from that point on.
Yeah,
like everyone else, you couldn't tell.
Yeah,
like Vicky looks fine.
Right.
Bruce looks fine, although he might already know the secret. I don't know. But
yeah.
Every other character, you don't notice at all.
Yeah.
It's just those two poor news anchors turn into god awful witches and warts and everything.
the lady, like her hair is just all over the place.
Yeah, it's like it's a little heavy handed there.
Yeah. One little detail that I like, it's just a quick little scene that takes place in, I think, the mayor's office. And so it's the mayor screaming at Dent, who's on the phone, screaming at somebody. But there's a Gotham State flag, like, in the corner of the office, and it resembles the Indiana state flag. Because it's kind of the same, like, torch surrounded by stars. So it's definitely, like... We'll use something that looks real and then kind of alter it slightly, but that, and also at the bottom it does say Gotham State, so it's kind of weird that Gotham is typically it's Gotham City, so it must be kind of like New York where it's Gotham, Gotham,
or Kansas and Kansas City.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Give somebody else credit.
Sure.
New York gets too much credit.
Yeah.
I think this is based out of Kansas City.
Obviously. Well, we know from Smallville that Metropolis is just outside.
That is true.
Kansas. It's like
very true.
You can see it just over the horizon.
Oh man! So we closing in on the art museum.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
I think this is the scene that really hit me over the head with the way it was shot.
Okay. Yeah.
As far as a Batman TV show.
Yeah, I even have the Dutch angles, noted here. Just,
with people slouching over and falling and all that while she has her handy-dandy orange and green gas mask on.
Yeah.
It just was like, wow, that looks like it should have had a thump or something when somebody fell over.
Oh, sure.
Like it should have had some kind of a Batman comic book text or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it just struck me in this scene more than any.
Okay.
I don't know if that was intentional, like to pay homage or something.
I kind of think it was,
It seemed pretty obvious, and if I noticed it, it probably was.
Yeah, I've got another one of those kind of what I assume is a nod to the 60s stuff, but I'll mention it later. I guess we mentioned the Prince music, and for the most part, I don't care for the Prince music in this movie, except for this scene, and I think it's twice. It's this and then the parade. That I love the Party Man song used here.
Oh man, my wife was like, "What are you watching?" Because it's just such a weird song, and it is blaring.
Yeah. To me, like, it only works in connection with this movie. I mean, obviously, it's a Batman-themed song and several songs because it was like a concept album that he did for this movie. But I can't imagine listening to any of the Prince music like outside of this movie.
Yeah, this is a music video for this song.
Yes,
I mean they're moving to the literal music.
Yeah.
On the back boombox.
Yeah. I love it. I love the sequence. So much so that, like, watching it, just, the way that, to me, I guess the sounds of them destroying all this art, especially the guy that has his hands are painted. He's leaving the handprints. He does, like, it's almost timed to the music, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, swish, swish. Like, he slaps the painting once he's done like 5 or 6 handprints. Like, I love that. I can't think of, I don't know, it feels like part of the song because just the way the sound is.
And I think my favorite two pieces are when the Joker's mimicking that statue that's standing on one leg.
I love that.
And
again,
when
just
he stops,
mocking things.
Yeah. And when he stops Bob from destroying the one painting, it's like,
yeah,
kind of like this one. Yeah, I just love him like randomly like standing on one leg like a ostrich and flailing around and then smacking the statue.
I know. It struck me watching it this time, like how much funnier I think it is if you think about Vicky is just upstairs watching all of this.
Yeah. Her face says it all. It's like,
yeah. But I like that they don't cut to her reaction at any point. Like we just, once they make it upstairs, it's like, oh yeah, Vicky is just there. Yeah,
And is everyone, like, this is the part that always confused me, because the people just slump over and die, but none of them have that smile? So is it different?
I don't know if we close up on anyone's face to see if it's there or not.
I mean, I guess they slump over pretty quick, and you see a couple faces, but maybe it takes longer to set in.
I would assume that they're there, but again, I don't think that we really see anyone close up anyways. There are definitely some faces you could see from a distance that maybe they don't have big smiles, and maybe that was just because they kind of have to put everyone through prosthetics to make those, those grins, I think. So,
because the thing that I always got confused by the gas was that if it in its makeup form can be absorbed through the skin, how is it that it can't be absorbed the same way when it's in gas form?
Oh, like why isn't Vicky in danger?
Yeah, because all she's got is a mouth covering.
It must be that they are different chemicals. This gas has to be inhaled, and then everything else that he's tainting as far as the beauty products, like they have to be applied, I guess, through skin. Or I
guess that could be also inhaled if you're doing hairspray or spray deodorant.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll cut it slack, right. But it was just something I thought of this go around.
Yeah, I think they're just different chemicals, different. He's using different forms of chemistry for different purposes, I guess.
Yeah. So, how'd you like Joker's? I guess critique of her work.
That's one of those things that I have often mimicked, like how you kind of call back to things, that lines, or, just anytime I've never done this to someone, but I just always think crap, just that I'm always, that one's always just popping in my head. And then especially he does this thing with his lips where he says, after he says, I'm the world's first fully functioning homicidal artist. And then he does this like thing with his mouth that, again, is something that I just do. Like, it's kind of a callback to this, but it's one of those things that, it's become one of my almost like a mannerism, like and I don't do it, like, again, don't do it to people, but it's like if I'm just absentmindedly, I'll think of that and just I don't know.
And this is the Joker face that gives me the willies the most.
Okay.
I think he's doing the most with his mouth in this scene.
Okay.
And the smile plus what he's doing with his mouth has always creeped me out.
Yeah.
Like what you just said, or like he's weirdly smiling within his smile.
Yeah.
And like, it always gave me the willies. It still does.
I was watching part of the behind the scenes, and they talked about having to trying all kinds of different prosthetic applications to make this grin work and everything. And the only way that they really were able to make it work the best is, you start out with this huge smile on his face, but to get it to just the way they want it, Jack Nicholson also has to be making the biggest smile he can possibly physically make. And that's what gives it like that super creepy, like that's what makes it work so well. So just think about like how like, smile as big as you possibly can. And after a few seconds, that gets really uncomfortable. And just imagine every scene that you see him in, he basically has to do that, make that face, while being covered in this, makeup thing. And
so what you're telling me is he really did go mad.
Oh yeah.
That seems like it would be a horrendous way to go about the day, every day of shooting. Oh man. Well, maybe they shot some stuff in and out of order, so he didn't have to do that the whole time.
Could be.
That'd be rough.
Is that your portfolio?
I'm meeting someone who wants to see my work.
Crap. 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 Ah. Now that's good work. The skulls, the bodies, you give it all such a glow. I don't know if it's art, but I like it.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. Find the show on Facebook and Twitter at Real Comic Heroes. All music and audio are the property of their respective creators.